Morning, LPES. I hope each and every one of you are doing well this morning, are excited about something coming up either today or this weekend or maybe even next week or maybe at the end of the month, because I know we have a lot of celebrations coming up both here at school and also I'm sure at home and all different places. So today I want to talk to you about a few different ideas, a few different thoughts that I have that I think might help us as we're going through the next couple of weeks and as we're going through the rest of the school year, really. The first thing I want us to do is, of course, I want us to take some deep breathing to get ourselves settled and to really get ourselves calm and ready to learn for the day. I've been in some second grade classes this week, and in those second grade classes, we've been learning about parts of the brain. And I hope my second graders are starting to remember those. My third and fourth graders, we learned about this in past years, so this might be a little bit of a review for you. Okay, so I want to teach you all about just one part of the brain this morning. So we're not doing the whole thing that my second graders did. Second graders, you guys are kind of experts right now since you just learned this. So sit tight. I bet this will be a nice little review for you to remember all that info we were learning. I want you all to take your fingertips and I want you to tap your forehead right here. So right behind our forehead, if we were able to use like a brain x-ray machine, we would be able to see the prefrontal cortex. Big word. We don't need to use that word, except if you're my second, third, and fourth graders. I know we've talked about it before. So prefrontal cortex. We hear the word front in there, which tells us it's at the front of our brain. For my younger kids, my kindergartners, first graders, and even my second graders, because we used a few different names yesterday or this week when we learned about this lesson, we can call that part of our brain our wise owl. Can you all gently tap your forehead and say, wise owl? Your wise owl, when it's running your brain, when it's driving your brain, it's in control, is going to help you to be calm. It's going to help you to make good choices. It's going to help you to learn whatever it is your teacher is trying to teach you that day. But unfortunately, our wise owl isn't always in control of our brain. Sometimes it's some other parts that can make us do some pretty wild things. So in order for us to get that wise owl in control, or the prefrontal cortex, in control of our brain, what we're going to do is do some deep breathing. When we do deep breathing, it sends a signal throughout our body that we're safe. And when our body knows that we're safe and our brain knows that we're safe, it puts that wise owl guy back in the driver's seat, puts him back in control. So when we're able to take those deep breaths, it's telling our body that we're in a place that we can be calm and relaxed. Think about it this way. If you were running from something, like you were outside and you came across a bear in the woods, you're running as fast as you can, you're breathing heavily and your heart's beating fast. Your brain knows, because of how your body's reacting, that it's not safe at that moment. But if we're taking slow, calm, deep breaths, it's sending a signal from our body to our brain that's saying, hey, I'm in a safe place. I can handle taking slow, deep breaths right now. And that tells our brain, awesome. We don't need to be in panic mode. We don't need to be worried. We can put that wise owl in control. What this does for us is it helps us when we're feeling nervous, or it helps us when we're feeling worried or scared about something. And it can be something as realistic as a bear, or it could be something that we might be worried about, like taking a test today, getting through our math test later, getting through our spelling test later. So that's why we like to start off I like to start off these videos with doing some deep breathing, because it tells our body we're safe, we're calm, we're ready to learn. Can you say that with me? We're safe. Let's do this. We're safe, we're calm, we're ready to learn. So let's go ahead and do some deep breathing. We're going to start off real simple for right now. Just take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Once again, deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. All right, this one's a little hard to do with our masks on, but I'm going to teach it to you anyway, because you can use it in places that you aren't wearing a mask, like when you're home or when you have a mask break. So I want you to pretend, and I know we do this one a lot this time of year. I love it though. I want you to pretend that we have a bowl of hot cocoa, or a bowl of hot soup, or a bowl of hot whatever it might be, oatmeal, stew, whatever. Something that is nice and warm and cozy on a cold day like today. And I want you to pretend that it's in your hands. And you're going to really check in with your imagination to pretend to be smelling whatever that delicious thing is. Ready? And then blow on it to cool it down. Now, when you don't have your mask on, you can blow directly onto your hands, which gives a nice calming sensation. Let's do that one more time. And cool it down. Do that with me once more. Big deep breath in through our nose. And out. Excellent. Hopefully, as we take those deep breaths, it's helping our body, like I said, to make sure that we're feeling nice and calm and we're ready to learn. We are ready to start our day or to continue our day whenever you're watching this video. I know we can't always watch it first thing in the morning. All right, so that was step number one, first thing I want to talk to you about. Second thing I want to talk to you about, and I think we're going to try and do these a little bit more during our Friday feeling videos, is a review, a weekly review. I want you to think about your past week. Now that can be Monday through Friday, so just your school week, or it can be your entire week. It could be last weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever you want it to be. I want you to think about what went really well this past week. If you ever come to my office and we talk by ourselves, sometimes we talk about mountain peaks and mountain valleys. Well, not mountain valleys. We talk about mountain peaks and we talk about valleys. The mountain peak is the highest point of our week, the thing that was super awesome, that was really great. I want y'all to take a moment right now, and I want you to think of something that happened this week that was really great. And maybe if you don't have something really great, I want you to think about something that was good or nice or just enjoyable. It can be something that you did that you're proud of. It can be some way you reacted to something. Maybe you made a really good choice with your friends, staying nice and calm. Maybe you made a really good choice at home, sharing with your brother or sister, or listening to mom and dad. Maybe you made a really good choice in class with your teacher when they asked you to stop doing something and you corrected that behavior right away. Whatever it might be, I want you to think about something this week that was great, your mountain peak, the high point of your week. Okay. Think about how that made you feel. Let's think about the opposite now. And it's okay. We all have valleys. I want you to think about the part that is the low point. So when we learn about mountains and valleys, the valley is the part of ground that's like right next to a mountain. So we have this big, giant, beautiful mountain, and then we have that low part of the earth that's right next to it. Okay, so we're going from the mountain peak all the way up here, down to the valley. And I want you to think about what your valley was this week. What was something that maybe didn't go as well as you would have liked? Something that you wish would have gone better? Something that maybe you aren't super proud of? You reacted to something and you're like, ooh, that was not great. I could have been a lot nicer. Think about what that was. Take a moment. Think about how that made you feel, or how it makes you feel right now thinking about it. And I want you to think about, if we had a magic time machine, I wish we did. If we had a magic time machine and we could go back in time and rewind, and you got to do whatever that thing was over again, how would you do it differently? What would you do to stay calm in those moments? What would you do to get through whatever those uncomfortable emotions were? Take a moment. Don't beat yourself up about it. Don't feel awful about it. It doesn't mean you're a bad person or a bad kid. It means we're all human and we all make mistakes. Mrs. Heffler had her valleys this week too. The things that she's not proud of that she did or said. It happens to everybody. But the cool thing about being human is that we can learn from those mistakes. So we think about whatever that thing was, that valley, and we think about how if that valley comes back next week, if the same kind of situation happens, how we could handle it differently. What we could do. What we could do to keep going instead of giving up. And that, my friends, brings us to our third topic this morning. And that is a really important word. It's at the front of our school. Well, not outside of our school. When you first walk in the main doors, if you take the bus, you're going to see when you go to turn down the first grade hallway on your left, you're going to see that we have a sign up there that says perseverance. Can you all say that word with me? Perseverance. And if we break it down, you can find the word in there, persevere. But what does it mean to persevere or to have perseverance? To persevere means you don't give up. You keep going. You keep trying, even when things are difficult. It means sometimes we don't always ask for a grown-up's help in the first moment we find a struggle. It means we can try a few different strategies first. Try calming ourselves down. Try looking at the problem differently. Trying our best on something before we ask for help. Now, if it's a really big problem, of course you got to ask an adult for help right away. That's okay. But we're talking about other things, some little problems. Maybe it's a small problem with a friend. Maybe it's a problem in class, like a word problem or a math problem or a reading problem, whatever it might be. Being able to persevere means you don't give up when things get harder. Now, I want you to think about your favorite movie ever, okay? Think about whoever the main character is. So if you're thinking about a movie like Frozen, you might be thinking about Elsa or Anna. If you're thinking about a movie like Spider-Man, you're probably thinking of Spider-Man. Whichever movie you pick, I guarantee this works in almost every single situation. Whatever movie or TV show you pick, and it could be a TV show too, I want you to think about that main character, okay? That man or that woman who just didn't give up. And I want you to think about how they persevered, okay? How Spider-Man, even when he's faced with the most awful things, he doesn't just quit. He doesn't just say, you know what, that's it. I'm giving up being Spider-Man. I'm going to go lay down on the couch. If we think about Elsa or Anna, or if we think about any of the other Disney movies, I'm trying to think of some other ones that have come out recently, like Toy Story. I know that wasn't really recently, but any of those characters, they never give up. They never just quit. Or even if they do, they always come back at the end and they start trying again and they get through whatever it is. I want you to take that courage, that perseverance, and try to use it with yourself today and next week. Try to find something that you can keep going on, you can keep trying on, even if we make mistakes. Because we're going to make mistakes and things are going to be hard. But that doesn't mean you can't keep trying. That doesn't mean that we can't persevere. So, all of that being said, I want to share with you a story today. I'm not going to read it to you because I found a version online that I think is better than if Mrs. Heffler was reading it. It has some fun sound effects and it has like zooming into pages and pictures and things like that. So I'm going to share that with you instead. So you'll hear a different voice that's not mine, which is A-okay. This is one of my favorite books though, and I've read it a few times in the past. Never on a Friday Feels though. I think I've done it with like my third graders who are now probably in 4th or 5th grade. It is called Rosie Revere, Engineer. And the reason I love this book for today's topic of perseverance is because you're going to see in the book, Rosie at times wants to give up. She wants to quit. She wants to stop trying. But in the end, just as you might guess, she doesn't. She keeps going even when things get hard, even when she feels like she fails. So take a listen to Rosie Revere, Engineer. I hope that as you go into your weekend and as we go into next week, we can really try our best to persevere, to remind ourselves that we can do hard things, right? I always love that saying, we can do hard things. And to remind ourselves that whenever we're faced with something that's a challenge, we got to put that wise owl back in control by taking some deep breaths, by doing some mindfulness things that calm us down, like a 5 senses check-in or a body scan, by helping ourselves to remind ourselves that we are safe, we're cared for, especially, I know here at school, each and every one of you is cared for and safe, and to remind ourselves that we can do those hard things. All right, LPES, you all stay kind and enjoy Rosie Revere, Engineer.
Rosie Revere, Engineer by Andrea Beatty, illustrated by David Roberts. Creatively read by Miss Jill. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Lilla Greer's class at Blue River Creek, young Rosie sat shyly, not daring to speak. But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineer's stash. And late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built in her hideaway under the eaves. Alone in her attic, the moon high above, dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved. And when she grew sleepy, She hid her machines far under the bed where they'd never be seen. When Rosie was young, she had not been so shy. She worked with her hair swooped over one eye and made fine inventions for uncles and aunts. A hot dog dispenser and helium pants. The uncle she loved most was Zookeeper Fred. She made him a hat to keep snakes off his head, from parts of a fan and some cheddar cheese spray, which everyone knows keeps the pythons away. And when it was finished, young Rosie was proud. But Fred slapped his knee and he chuckled out loud. He laughed till he wheezed and his eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who stood there embarrassed, perplexed, and dismayed. She looked at the cheese hat and then looked away. "I love it," Fred hooted. "Oh, truly I do." But Rosie Revere knew that couldn't be true. She stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf, and after that day kept her dreams to herself. And that's how it went until one autumn day. Her oldest relation showed up for a stay. Her great-great-aunt Rose was a true dynamo who worked building airplanes a long time ago. She told Rosie tales of things she had done and goals she had checked off her list one by one. She gave a sad smile as she looked to the sky. "The only thrill left on my list is to fly. But time never lingers as long as it seems. I'll chalk that one up to an old lady's dreams." That night Rosie lay wide-eyed in bed. A daring idea crept in her head. Could she build a gizmo to help her aunt fly? She looked at the cheese hat and said, "No, not I." But questions are tricky and some hold on tight, and this one kept Rosie awake through the night. So when dawn approached and red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew just how to make her aunt fly. She worked and she worked till the day was half gone, then hauled her cheese-copter out onto the lawn to give her invention a test and just to see how ridiculous a flop it might turn out to be. Strapped into the cockpit, she flipped on the switch. The Hello Cheese-copter sputtered and twitched. It floated a moment and whirled round and round and froze for a heartbeat, then crashed to the ground. Then Rosie heard laughter and turned round to see the old woman laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed till she wheezed, and her eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who thought, "Oh no, never! Not ever again will I try to build something to sputter or spin or build with a lever, a switch or a gear, and never will I be a great engineer." Then she turned round to leave, but then Great-Great-Aunt Rose grabbed hold of young Rosie and pulled her in close and hugged her and kissed her and started to cry. "You did it! Hooray! It's the perfect first try. This great flop is over. It's time for the next." Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, perplexed. "I failed," said dear Rosie. "It's just made of trash. Didn't you see it? The cheese-copter crashed." "Yes," said her great aunt. "It crashed. That's true. But first, it did just what it needed to do. Before it crashed, Rosie, before that, it flew. Your brilliant first flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy and on with the next." She handed a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt as it all became clear. Life might have its failures, but this was not it. The only true failure comes if you quit. They worked till the sun sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rose tied her handkerchief around Rosie's head and sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear to dream of bold dreams of a great engineer. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 built gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys too. With each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer, but none quite as proudly as Rosie Revere. The end. Be sure to click the subscribe button if you want to keep up to date with more new books that I release. Thanks so much.